was a young priest in King Williamstown. Our church, basically inside the little church, it was painted cream and the doors were brown. So it was cream and brown. And then one day, of course, it needed to be repainted. And I said to them, okay, well, now you must paint your church. And they said, well, Father, what color do you want it? I said, no, what color do you want it? And I said, look, you really have freedom of choice. When I got to the church, they were all there to greet me with big smiles on their face. And the church was full of primary colors, blues and reds and yellows, and it was just a beautiful primary colored church. So now we've just built another 2 or 3 new churches with help from the Canadian Pontifical Mission Societies, and these colors make it very special. It makes them feel that this is a house of God's people, basically.
Meet Bishop Michael Coleman. For more than 25 years, one of South Africa's leading missionary bishops, who has worked tirelessly on behalf of his parishioners in the Diocese of Port Elizabeth, located on the southeast tip of the country.
People, I bless you once again. I bless everybody who's had anything to do with building this church and bringing us here today. So I have many reasons today.
Starting from his time as a young priest, this special calling has been a labor of love for Bishop Coleman.
I worked among the poor as a young priest in the slums of East London. I was the only white man in the area because of the apartheid situation. What the church did then basically gave the coloured and black folk the best education we could, and so enabling them later on to go to university. In the church context, they could become parish council chairmen, they could look after the finances, they could have the proper say, whereas out in the wider community, they were emasculated in a sense and felt very suppressed. And I learned so much from those poor people, just how to celebrate they had very little, and they taught me that in a wonderful way as a young priest.
Today's South African church includes 3.3 million Catholics, 600,000 of which are of European descent, while 2.7 million are of black or mixed-race ancestry. At 6% of South Africa's overall population, the church stretches between very different missionary urban and rural realities.
So now we have a tremendous wave of people from north of us who see South Africa as the sort of the rainbow nation with the pot of gold at the end of it. And it's like a kaleidoscope of humanity. We have white South Africans and black and coloured Chinese. We have people from Sudan, from Ethiopia, from Harare, from Nigeria, all worshipping in the cathedral down here. Our 3 main languages are Xhosa, which is the local African language, Afrikaans, and English. And many of our masses contain hymns with all 3 languages, and everybody sings them. Out in the country, people haven't been exposed to the same kind of interaction. The Xhosa people are an oral people, oral tradition, and the way they express their culture is through their voice. So they have beautiful singing voices in general, and they sing together, they dance together in their own language. And they're also very good at speaking, so there's a strong oral tradition in the liturgy, which we are encouraging.
Throughout all the efforts of the South African Church, it is the steadfast support of pontifical mission societies, especially its Canadian donors, that have made a critical difference to what can be achieved.
If you want to teach about the Lord, you've got to have at least a building in which you can gather people and within reasonable comfort, some chairs and so on. Talking to people under the bush can be done for a while, but then you need to have facilities. So we're really grateful to the Pontifical Mission Societies for enabling us to have facilities and sometimes helping us with drugs and things in clinics and enhance people's lives, education, deepening of faith, and to have a prayerful, informed, articulate, enthusiastic laity.
Bishop Coleman has seen his parishioners go through monumental changes, from a time when the system of apartheid did its worst in the 1980s, to the country's emancipation in the 1990s, and then on to the long slog of a post-apartheid era where crime, major unemployment, housing slums, violence towards women are just a few of the country's current problems. For Bishop Coleman and his fellow South African bishops, the only antidote is to challenge the entire church body to become a place of healing.
We do get involved in different areas, and especially the overt injustices. We have health clinics, we have schools. Outside the government, for instance, we have the biggest education arm in South Africa. We keep these schools open as an outreach to the wider community. We have an AIDS program to feed AIDS orphans. We feed between, I think, 5,000 or 6,000 AIDS orphans. Not once a week, every day. We are now challenging the Catholic people in different communities to have a justice and peace arm in their pastoral councils. And what needs to be developed, I believe, in the diocese is a question of healing.
So in this Jubilee year, this community is called to be a forgiving community.
Kulo nyaka ke lo nyaka wokubhiyoza ubizwa njengonyaka wokuxolela.
And I'm conscious, I know that many of you have things that you need to forgive, things that come from the apartheid time. And we need to forgive anyone who's got something that we haven't forgiven.
We've introduced a pastoral dynamic of becoming a healing church, healing of memories, healing of hurts. And that's had a tremendous response among the people. It's a question of really doing things out of a sense of faith and be willing to stand, if necessary, at the foot of the cross and share in the sufferings of the Lord. I think that's a reality.